Hey guys, it's Lacey. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, it's going to be a little bit different. I really just wanted to sit here and talk to you face to face because I really haven't made like a personal video at all. Just explaining where I've been for the past, let me see how long was my last video, February? 5 months, almost 6 months. So I've been gone for a minute, and I have a very good explanation. I had tried to make this video before in the past when everything happened, but it was still so fresh and it was still so new that I would seriously just sit here and like cry just talking about it because I was still so hurt by it and it still wasn't real to me. Now before you get like kind of like serious, like nothing harmful happened to me at all. But anyway, not to be dramatic, I lost my job in May. For those of you that have watched my videos in the past, you know I've talked about being a teacher in the state of Florida. For those of you that are teachers in the state of Florida, you might already know exactly where I'm getting at this and how I might have lost my job. From February up until May, my mental well-being was not like okay. I have anxiety. College was pretty bad. Panic attacks were pretty frequent, and throughout my adult life I've been able to keep my panic attacks pretty okay. Like they come every so often, but not too much. But from February up until May, they kind of just went all over the place because of how stressed out I was with everything. But teachers in Florida are required to take a series of tests in order to keep their job. If you don't pass the test, you lose your job. You know, they don't look at what goes on in the classroom, they don't look at the good rapport that you have or anything like that. It's basically like, oh, you fail it, you're done. That's really it. And it's become more apparent in the news headlines that there is an issue with this test and this company. And it's not even just one specific test. There are multiple tests that this company shells out. And the failure rate of teachers taking the test and failing is so high that it's causing people to sit and wonder, like, are they just taking my money? Like, is this a scam? Because there's no way that I can take this test over and over and over again and fail it continuously. And the company is the Pearson VUE company. They were actually used in New York. And what I find really funny is that the same exact issue came up in New York and the Pearson VUE company had lost. And the teachers that sued them won. They had gotten their money back from how many ever times they had taken the test and failed it. And they had gotten their paychecks basically as what they would have been paid if they were still teaching. And because of that, New York State does not use that company anymore. So in my head, why is Florida using this company when they've had an issue in the past? You know what I mean? And it's whatever. But that's at a higher level that I can't even think of. What I had to take was the general knowledge test. It's 3 parts English, 1 part math. You have to write an essay, it's reading comprehension, basic English grammar, and then a whole entire math section. Myself, being an English teacher, getting my master's in English, and then in the next year or two going to get my PhD in English, I obviously passed the English portion the first time around. I did not pass the math portion the first time. So the first time you take the test, it's $170. Each time you take the test afterwards, it's $150. In total, as of May, I had spent $770 on this test. And I have never been good at math anyway. Like, it just never clicked in my brain that I sucked at math as a kid. I've had tutors since middle school, high school, college. I had to take 1 math class, and that was it. And I was rigid of it. And obviously I still use your basic general knowledge math, which I think to me and everybody else is, you know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentages, you know, a little bit of algebra, a little bit of geometry. You obviously do use that on an everyday basis, not all the time, but you know, that to me is general knowledge. And it's not just that. I mean, they do have a little bit of that, but they also have trigonometry and pre-calculus with a little bit of higher level calculus thrown in there, which makes no sense to me at all. I myself, as an English teacher, am never going to use this in my field, ever. Kindergarten teachers have to take this test. When the hell are they going to have to use trigonometry and pre-calculus for kindergarten? If you're a French teacher, you have to take this test. A history teacher, you have to take this test. And it's ridiculous because it has nothing to do with the subject matter that I teach at all. Up until May, my panic attacks started coming more frequently because I was working the full-time job teaching, studying for this test, doing practice test after practice test, and then taking those tests. I'm in grad school. I worked a second job, which, you know, because teaching doesn't pay that much, so you have to work a second job. So I was doing all of those things, and every time I would go and take the test and fail it, it was the end of the world to me. My grades even slipped in one of my classes, and that to me was just so unacceptable. And it just caused so much stress in my life. It affected my relationship. I barely talked to my friends. There would be times as it got closer to the deadline of when I had to pass this test that the littlest thing would cause me to have a panic attack while I was teaching. And I would have to leave the room to calm down. And I never let my kids see that because they don't need to know that's going on. So I'd be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, you know what I mean? But you know, I had gotten the email that I had to take and pass this test by March 31st, or else I would not be reappointed. So I always had that in the back of my head. The first time I had taken the test was in December, and I didn't pass it. I was discouraged, but I knew I still had time. And every month or so I would go in and take the test, and every month or so I would fail that test. And they don't tell you what you got. They just give you a sheet of paper and it says pass or not pass. They don't tell you where you needed work. They don't tell you the numerical score. That's just it. So you kind of have to just go back and start all over again. The second to last time that I took it was before the deadline of March 31st, and I was pretty much gunning for that to pass it. And I didn't. Come to find out that I had a score of a 156. You needed 200 to pass. And that's when my panic attacks got really, really, really bad, to where, like, if I felt them coming on, like, I remember one time I freaked out and had a panic attack because my boyfriend didn't buy aluminum foil and I needed it to cook. But it was all the stress, and it was like, if you've ever had a panic attack, it's probably a really shitty feeling. It's like everything is crashing down around you. You can't breathe. You want it to stop, and you're trying to get it to stop, but it just won't. And it was horrible. And that's when I started to be like, okay, I have to look at other places, but I'm still going to keep trying. And I took it in May, which is my last hope, basically, before they were going to send out any resignation letters. And I take it into May, and I was so confident. You know, I was getting tutoring the whole entire time, and I was ready. I was ready to take this test and pass it. And I took it, went through everything, finished the test with maybe a half an hour to go. So I took that half an hour to go back and review everything and make sure everything was fine. Fix answers if I had to fix answers. Go over questions that I might have skipped because I couldn't get something. And I go and get the paper, get all my stuff. I don't look at the paper until I get into the car, and it says not pass. And mind you, this is the last time I could take this test. I didn't even cry. I think it was about 2 days before I actually cried. I was just really angry, and I was in a very F this, F that, I don't want to do this anymore. I was in a giving up mode. And 2 days later, that's when I started crying, because now it wasn't just me. It's my boyfriend, we have 2 dogs, we have an apartment, we have bills that we have to pay. One income just wasn't enough. We needed 2 incomes. And that's what hurt the most with everything. And I didn't know what I got on the test. I still didn't know. When I had gotten my resignation letter and the principal came into the classroom, nobody was there. It was like at the end of the day. I don't even think he knew that I was taking the test so much and had put myself through so much stress that I just cried almost every other day. But he's like, you've gotten the letters from district, for the emails from district, right? And in my head, I'm like, of course I've gotten the damn letter, the emails from district. I've been working my ass off and stressing myself to the bone taking this test. And I was kind of like pissed off that he didn't know that I was working so hard on this test. But again, he's the principal. He's over everything else. And he just gave me the letter. He's like, oh, well, he knew this was coming. And he like laughed. And he just left. And man, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was so petty and pissed off. I opened up the letter. It was just a sentence that I wasn't going to be reappointed for the next year. And I cried. Even though I knew it was coming, I cried really, really hard. And I did that. It was official. It was on paper. Before, I still had time. You know what I mean? But now it was on paper that I wasn't coming back. And, you know, it was going through everything and trying to find work and all this other stuff. And it was hard. And I really just want you guys to know that I didn't not do videos because I didn't want to. It's just because I was mentally and emotionally just not okay to do the videos, to sit here and be happy when all this stuff was going on. And I think the day before I went to Greece, I had gotten the score, and I had gotten a 196. Remember, I said you need 200 to pass. That's one question away from passing. When I first got that letter for losing my job, I was like, what the hell did I do in my life for this to happen to me? Why me? What bad thing did I do to have the universe put this on me? But when I saw that I was so close to passing, but I still didn't get it, I did have this feeling of, you know, everything happens for a reason. Maybe this just wasn't meant to be. If this was meant to be, it would have, and I would have gotten it. But I just wasn't. And you know, I put everything into teaching, even though I knew it wasn't something that I wanted to do forever, because my plan was to leave when my certification was up, which was in 2018. That was my plan, but things don't go as planned. And, you know, everything just started falling into place in my mind. That, you know, I wasn't happy where I was. I didn't like dealing with the BS that went along with everything. I had taken this job because I needed a job, not because I wanted to. Because I was kind of pressured to do it as well. I knew it was something that I never wanted to do in my life. No, as crazy and as irrational as it sounds and as unintelligent as it probably is in today's day and age, I refuse to be somebody who is stuck in a job that I hate. But I have to work there because I need money. Because there are too many people out there like that, and they're just miserable. And I can't do that to myself. I refuse to do that to myself. So, as of right now, I am in a slightly better place. Everything is, I'm trying to still figure everything out. It still kind of sucks to have to worry about what's going to happen. But I think now that I finally decided that I'm not going to go do that test again, that I'm not going to go and do this type of work again, I can sift through my options. And deep down, I know everything is going to be okay, but I also feel like a whole bunch of bad shit has to happen before good stuff comes through. You have to... I've never fallen on my ass that hard before, and I think that's what I had to do. But yeah, I love you guys, and I just felt that you deserved an explanation as to where I've been. So Love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, even though I've been gone for so long, and I hope to see you guys in my next video.